The following video is going to be not about what the comments are. This is posted under a video about an incident that happened where two people lost their lives and nobody knows who did it and blah, blah, blah. But this comment I don't believe has anything to do with it because it comes from a channel that literally depicts someone who's too young to have a YouTube channel posting this comment. So either A, it's legit that kind of channel and then it got hijacked, or B, it's a family member doing this, or C, none of the above and someone's just shitposting. So here we go. Yeah, but you also believe, Waptec also believes, our known and proven corrupt fabricators, liars, and abusers from within our department and area. This is a person apparently saying this from some city. The reason I'm saying I don't believe it's associated with the video is they're being deliberately vague about this. Claiming Waptec believes people who are known, and it's not questioned, that they are corrupt, proven corrupt, people who fabricate and lie and abuse. Obviously that's not reality because there isn't anybody making the claim they have evidence of this. This could be about an incident in Delphi or another city unrelated, which is actually what the video was about, but okay. And they're supposed to be in the area and in the department. Now, if you're not aware of it, there is a trope with some people that they have decided that anybody in authority or who have authorship or who are their betor or are a person who would be an elder or a person who has authority or power or has academic merit. Anybody who is in a position where they have more influence than them must be corrupt, liars, abusers within the area, and in this case, apparently within the police department. There's a trope or a view of reality where people say that the only reason a person has more power than me is because they've done something evil. You can look up a video about the problem with flat earthers, and it basically boils down to people not liking the fact that they feel disempowered because other people are able to double check and find out facts about things, and they feel inadequate, or they feel that they're faking it. And instead of just finding out how you test the shape of the Earth or figure out how to get something to go in orbit, they'll ignore that because it takes too much effort, and they decide to become arrogant while claiming to be humble and open-minded. They become closed-minded, arrogant, and claim they have a superior knowledge over something based on simply defying what would be considered authority. I'm from the United States. If you're not aware of it, people in this country defy authority all the time. It's basically a big F-you, punk rock attitude that all of us have, whether we want to acknowledge it or not. And that's fine, but you have to back it up with, can you do better? Not, can you be more annoying on the internet? So someone coming along and deciding that I agree with officials or the police department in some area, they're not even specifying which one, that are somehow factually proven to be fabricators, liars, and abusers, that says something bad about me. This has a presumption that some group of people are absolutely guilty and you don't provide evidence, and it's just matter of fact understood. And the next thing is that I must be agreeing with them. Now, of course, this is someone who's also depicting on their channel that they're like 10 or something, that they're not supposed to be having a YouTube channel. The comment will not be posted because this person is not... the entire channel demonstrate that the person running the channel clicked the I'm an adult when I'm not thing and is not supposed to be posting comments like this. So it's going to be deleted. That's actually YouTube policy. If you're under a certain age, you're not supposed to comment. And sure as hell not supposed to be replied to. But this is a bunch of cut and paste. Or maybe just fabricated by a bot. I can't tell. Let's try the next one. The victims got absolutely no real truth, you mean justice, nor any real justice at all. The word truth gets abused a lot. Let's move on. nor did our community and area. We got more of their same old, again, here we go with the word, corrupt, synthetic. That word gets used by a very specific type of conspiracy theorist. BS. Same as so many before and after. There is a reason we have so many strange losses of life and unsolved arsons and fires. Okay. If you're not aware of it, arsons and accidental fires are very hard to investigate because, by definition, a fire, if it goes on long enough, removes most evidence of even what caused it in some cases. Fire investigation is a very specialized area, and you have to trust the process and trust the people doing the investigation. And again, this person is strongly indicating, again, this may not even be their real words, that they believe that anybody in a position of authority or knowledge or a superior level of expertise is to be distrusted. This is a mindset some people have. And this is for the officials in the police department, I guess the fire department too. Everybody's corrupt. Everybody's a fabricator. Everybody's a liar. Everybody's an abuser. And it's proven because, and then there's no, at that point when you ask for proof, it's made up bullshit, or you get crickets and they won't respond. And the claim is that, I'm assuming because this person is referring to girls, even though this is a video about a completely unrelated thing, I'm assuming this is about the Delphi murders. Okay? So you're claiming no real justice or whatever. Okay. Now someone else also posted, the reason we don't trust the police department in Indiana or Delphi or whatever is because they kept changing their story, and they kept, every couple of weeks, making positive assertions and blah, blah, blah. I'll break it down. The police department made themselves look incredible, just completely non-credible. The only video I have on the subject that anybody really upvoted, because I normally just analyze facts, and that pisses people off, was where I called them out for going out of their way to make it to where, again, people can't listen to them and take it seriously because they keep changing their story. It's not that they're changing their story because they're getting new information. That's not what I'm complaining about. What I'm complaining about is they kept changing the entire point of what they're doing. I'm not a medical examiner that would examine bodies. I'm not a technician that does any of the other stuff that police departments do. I'm a computer security technician, etc. in my past. And one of the things I know is you don't make a statement when you don't know what you're dealing with. What you say is repeatedly, when people ask, you're demanding an update, we don't have one. We're still processing all the information. This occurred in an area that makes it almost impossible for us to find evidence that will be conclusive. That's the first fucking thing out of your mouth. Just be honest. We don't know if we can solve this case. It's shocking. It's terrible. But the way it was done by somebody who either accidentally or knowingly did it in such a way that most of the information we need to figure out who did it may not be available. And if anybody's not aware of this, the only evidence that's gone on with the Delphi case is that the statement the police have of a, quote, unspent cartridge found at the location, and it having some consistency back to a firearm that they found at someone's house. Now, let's dismantle this by being cops for a second. None of this involves corruption, abuse, fabrications, lies, a deliberate attempt to cover up any of the other memes that people see on the internet. Let's just throw all that out the window. If you found two people who are no longer alive out in the forest after it had rained, after there was a bunch of weather phenomena, and the only thing you got is essentially identical to what they would be like if they were alive. There's no evidence and there's no information. You can't find anything. And as we know now, the individuals were stabbed. And you don't got any murder weapon, or maybe you do. Again, the case is so muggy that they're not even releasing, this is absolutely what we found. And then they changed their story later. The only thing we know about this is a lot of machinations and work following lots and lots of dead ends and leads for weeks, months, and then years. And them commenting constantly on it instead of saying, we don't know what we got yet. We don't even know if we should talk about it. And people demanding to have information. And the response should be, again, I'm going to repeat this, we don't know. The hardest thing for a group of people in authority, especially police, is to say someone might have actually gotten away with this. Give us some time and we'll try to catch the person, but right now we don't have information that we can give you. And they could also say, if we give you information, that's going to make it to where we can't present it in court, so we can't tell you. All we can tell you is what we have right now doesn't point to a single individual or any individuals as a group. We don't have information that will help us find somebody. And then what happened later on is one of the pieces of evidence they didn't talk about is they found a cartridge that was sitting on the ground. If you're not aware of it, it's called a cartridge or a round. It's not called an unspent casing or unspent casing. A casing is a spent item. I won't go off on that. The point is, they found a cartridge. If you're not aware of it, a 9mm handgun, if you load a cartridge and then eject it, there's a little metal claw that grabs the back of the cartridge, pulls it out, and will chuck it out, even if it hasn't been fired. If it's fired or unfired, it doesn't matter. And at that point, you have the impact of the breech face, that's the back of it, pressing against the back of the cartridge, maybe have the firing pin slide forward and dent it a bit, and the claw that pulls it out, as well as any defects inside of the chamber where the cartridge goes in to go into the what we'd call normally a barrel. Now, not going into details, but this can be very, very specific to the gun, or it can be completely generic and untraceable. All of it can. Claims that, oh, well, they did forensic analysis, and yeah, it's a crapshoot whether you're going to get anything. And yes, there are ways to modify a gun, and none of them are illegal, to make it to where nothing shows up on the brass. Nothing. The cartridge looks almost or completely pristine. The little metal claw has no effect on it. And people modify guns to do that, not to hide that they've ejected the cartridge and have it traceable, but so the gun shoots better. High-precision firearms, in many cases, are altered in such a way that just by happenstance makes it to where the cartridges look completely clean. The only thing that happens to them is they have a completely symmetrical impact from a firing pin and no marks on them, which, by the way, would point to being what's called a race gun. It's a gun used for speed shooting and other competitive activity. They're called race guns or rail guns. They're very, very specifically made. Kind of thing that look flashy half the time, not always, and are very, very difficult to trace. And apparently the guy that they're arresting and have now convicted had a gun that was not perfectly clean and pristine, and it had trackable marks to it. Now, I'm going to say right now, the likelihood of it being 100% impossible for them to make a mistake at doing that in forensics, I'd say is 0. But it just has to be consistent enough. And also, the guy confessed. Okay, I think we're done. But yeah, this case, there's lots of room for criticism. I've criticized the whole freaking police department. But deciding it's all a cover-up, they're fabricators, liars, they're corrupt, they're abusers. 90% of this comes from people who hate the local police department or hate the local chamber of commerce or the mayor or whatever because they have an axe to grind about something completely unrelated. So if this kid is just is parroting this stuff, that's what it sounds like. But bringing up strange deaths, murders, suicides, fire deaths, and unsolved arsons. Arson's really hard to investigate, and the rest of them, suicides, often are very hard to investigate to even determine if it's a suicide. And a lot of people who are not with us anymore, who are killed, it's almost impossible to trace anything, simply because of the nature of... The police don't want you to know this, but it's rather easy to get away with a murder. And it's done by accident. Half the murders that aren't solved, we find out later it's because the person just got by happenstance on a day or a night where it rained and washed away all the evidence or whatever, or they were just wearing either brand new clothing or rarely used clothing. It depends on the circumstances. Same thing like the gun. It could be a brand new gun or a used gun, maybe the best kind, to make it untraceable. Most of the time, we don't know who did it because of complete accidents, not deliberately. And this is something the police department doesn't want to talk about because that encourages people to think they can get away with things. But that happens a lot. Way too much. So yeah, the comments are going to be erased. I'll include them below. I'm going to not flag the channel. And again, the channel is presenting itself as someone who's not supposed to have a channel that can comment. So that's why I'm covering. And yes, I understand the frustration with all of this. I share it. But presuming everything is a conspiracy is copium. You're just coping badly with the situation. Thanks for watching. Have a good day. Good luck with it.